look, AA is a good guy. I like AA.
No, he's not. Oh
friends
my
with him.
God.
Right? No. Right.
He's like fucking tweeting shit like, we can never trust the redacteds. And then it's like, what is redacted? Oh, it's the Jews. Okay. So like, I don't know what you're talking about.
That ain't cool. That's not cool.
Yeah, but that's your liberal bias, isn't it? Right?
No, it's my liberal bias. I don't like someone who's an anti-Semite.
No,
I don't
it's
believe
not crazy.
Carl, I can't believe you're supposed to be pulling him back from the abyss, not him pulling you into the canyon. One of the things that I think we need to promote more about the centrist label is that centrists really are the kingmakers. They're the ones with the most political power because they're willing to vote for either party. I mean, a lot of times they call them the independents and polls and whatnot, but that's that gives you so much more political power than anybody who is far left or far right, because they all know there's no way those people are going to vote for the opposition. I mean, the worst they can do is stay home. Uh-oh.
Adam,
what?
Carl, that's a really big claim that's obviously wrong.
What do you mean?
There's no organization for the independent voter. And so essentially they're stuck between two people's options who aren't them, and they're going to get dragged one way or the other. So I think that
look, we've got the partisan here, Sitch. We got the perfect.
Hey, I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm not saying that we should go one way or another. I just don't think that's accurate. I think that, unfortunately, I mean, you are right in a way. Like, the independent vote will swing, left or right, but they're following someone else's agenda. They've got no agenda of their own. Right?
No, they do. I mean, the agenda fluctuates on each independent issue. Like some issues they agree with the right and some issues they agree with the left. So it really depends upon whether or not those issues are prominent in society. And issues change all the time. So
sure, but like either way, there's no they're not going in a direction of their own choosing. They're going in the direction of someone else's choosing. The dichotomy is set by the radicals on either side.
No, that's definitely true. The radicals are trying to pull people in those directions. And I think Adam is kind of right if we include not just people that, are quote unquote independent, but there's a lot of people who are leaning more to the left or the right, but they're not motivated to really go out and vote a lot of the time.
They're not especially political.
Right.
Do you think the radicals have that big a sway on elections though, Carl? Because
look at Trump. Trump was pretty radical, I thought. He was a very polarizing figure, and he happened to tap into a well of feeling that many Americans shared. And I mean, Trump's agenda was fucking radical. I'm going to ban Muslims, and then he did it. Like that's an insanely radical.
He didn't ban. What are you? You're missing up the talking points.
He just
okay,
banned
he
12
Muslims.
different Muslim countries. Yes. Right? Okay, yeah. It was easy to frame as a Muslim ban because that's basically what Trump was thinking. Everyone could tell that's what we don't need fucking terrorist attacks. No more Muslims. That's basically and if it was anyone else, maybe I could credit them with some nuance, but it was Trump, so I'm not going to. Right? It was Trump going, no more Muslims. Simple as.
Okay, that's fine.
And that's true. Come on.
Well, the center right abandoned Trump, so there was a lot of anti-Trumpers even in the Republican
conservatives.
How many? It wasn't 12 countries, though, right? I thought it was like 5 or something.
No, it was quite a few. I'm pretty sure it was like 12 countries. Let me. I mean, I can look it up.
7 countries.
Was it?
So it says 6 were Muslim. I don't know what the 7th one was.
I guess I would like to consider Trump to be more mainstream. It's funny to hear you come out and say, no, Trump was a complete radical.
Oh, yeah, totally. Because the agenda is open borders, globalism, and Trump was totally against that. And everything he did, whether you think it was effective or not, was against that agenda. And that's a radical break from the status quo.
Well, he was anti-political correctness, and you could frame it as like the Muslim ban. You could frame as anti-political correctness, but it's odd to me. Even I would conceptualize the Muslim ban as the left's framing on Trump,
right?
Oh yeah,
but you're basically buying into the left's framing. You're saying, "Oh yeah, that's exactly what it was." What would be a more neutral framing? Sitch, do you know a more neutral framing on the?
Well, I don't even. Why did that even come to pass? I don't even remember.
Yeah,
because Muslims commit terror attacks sometimes.
No, but was there some specific incident that set this off, or did he just randomly decide like fuck?
There was some. There was some. No, there was some
crisis.
Incident. There was some incident, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't. Is America? I mean, most of our refugees are like Central and South American. They're not Muslims.
Well, no, because there was an agreement to take like thousands and thousands of Middle Eastern refugees, and I'm pretty sure Trump said no.
Oh, I guess it was in response to the Syrian civil war.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that makes some sense. Anyway.
Critical race theory is critical theory in a racial context. Critical theory is the political theory of the oppressed versus the oppressors. With Karl Marx back in the day, his critical theory was that the wealthy oppress the poor.
So I don't want, well, I guess I'm going to give Tim some hassle here. That's not what critical theory is. He's confusing critical theory with conflict theory. Conflict theory is the idea that, there's always this conflict over resources, and then Karl Marx kind of puts it through the lens of class is always going to be fighting each other. The bourgeoisie and the proletariat was going to be fighting. Critical theory came later, and that was proposed by people like, I'm trying to remember, what was that guy's name? Horkheimer and some other people.
Marcuse,
in the Frankfurt School.
Adorno.
Right. And basically, critical theory is the idea that you need to like a normal theory is the theory of gravity. It's just descriptive. There's no moral prescriptions in it whatsoever. Just like, oh, things fall towards the center of the earth. Done. And critical theory is like, no, we need to construct theories of the world that help orient society towards what they view as a positive change. And generally it falls within some kind of, neo-Marxian or Marxist lens of deconstruction.
Well, the purpose is pure deconstruction. So every category can be attacked and deconstructed. Right. And Marcuse has a particular line that I can't remember exactly, but to paraphrase, it's something like, because he's complaining, he's moved to America, and he's complaining that America is never going to bring about the communist revolution, basically. I'm not joking. That's it. That core component.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so the essence of critical theory is to deconstruct categories. So maybe that puts them on the path towards proper communism. And it's like, really, that's fucking speculative, mate.
Right.
I'm just saying we should ruin everything about our societies, and maybe then something better will come of it. It's like, yeah. So the purpose is essentially total liberation from categorization.
Well, the important element, too, is that critical theory is based in praxis, because if they're saying everything or our theories need to be oriented towards, quote unquote, fixing society, which they mean making it more Marxist, then that's how they get into this. Everything has to be oriented this way. We have to have math problems that talk about, why we need to be Marxist and all the oppression going on in our society.
It's funny that they categorize deconstruction as positive change in the world. It's like tearing things down is positive.
Yeah, because typically that's not what criticism is. A criticism is actually a way of bolstering something that already exists.
Yeah, improvement on it. Exactly.
Right. A criticism is to point out a flaw so the flaw can be corrected. But critical theory does the opposite of this. It points out a flaw in order to destroy.
Right. And I think what you point out, Adam, is very important, because they're coming at it from the perspective, what Sargon said about how they're like, we're never going to get the Marxist revolution in America. And it's because they're like, it's kind of that switch over to cultural issues and the realization that, American individual rights culture and this kind of like liberal culture is too powerful. And so if that's kind of the dominant force in the country and in the world to some extent, then that's where they come in this idea of we need to deconstruct everything. Because they say all of society, all of culture stems from these sort of evil, individual, liberal principles. So we just need to tear it all down so that, Marxism can fill this gap.
This is Gramsci's great contribution. Is like, look, you can't, the East is weak socially. Like no one in Russia has any strong bonds. There are no organizations because the Tsar owned everything and then the communists own everything. But in the West, that's not the case. And the society itself will uphold the institutions. So you're never going to get a Lenin-style revolution against the state. And so you need to weaken and destroy the culture. And this is what Kimberly Crenshaw specifically cites in mapping the margins. So, there is a direct lineage from these things. But the thing is, right, I don't think we should go hard on Tim Pool here because these are very complicated and lengthy things. And, he's not doing a terrible job of representing it. It's not, it's very blurry, but he's not doing a terrible job. And
he's wrong, but I understand what you're saying.
In specific terms, yes, he's wrong, but broadly, he's kind of right. He's generally in the right direction. So give him some credit there.
I will. I'll give him some credit.
I know how much of a stickler you are.
Do you want to give? There were people in the chat asking about why Sitch has TDS, Tim Derangement Syndrome.
Yeah, why is that, Sitch? Is it because he's a better centrist than you?
No. Listen, I in the early days, and I said I'm not going to be too hard on Tim in this conversation. Okay, I do think that from a strategy perspective, he does very poor in this conversation. He should be trying to get Daryl on his side, and I think he comes off as trying to win the conversation, which is the wrong way to approach it. But generally, my problem with Tim, and I said this a million times, is that I viewed Tim as the chosen one.
The chosen one.
Okay. Tim was Anakin Skywalker. He was the chosen one to bring balance to the Force. Yeah. And in his early days, I don't know, he complained so much about how the media was clickbait oriented and how the media was polarizing and making everyone tribal and crazy, and everything was outrage culture. And he just sort of, as time went on, he realized, the reason the media does this is because this is what makes you shit tons of money and makes you blow up. And so he kind of became, in a lot of respects, the criticisms he was leveling at the mainstream.
But he did support Trump, so, I can forgive
Well, there you go. I guess that makes it okay, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's where my main criticism of Tim comes from.
Hey, no. This is you're falling into George Lucas's view of balance, where it's all one side and none of the other. No. If you've got a bunch of crazies on the left who are
I see.
Like insane, you've got to have insane radicals on the right to balance them out.
Well, no, I'm not. My criticism was really more levied not at his positions, but the way in which, as I said, he was sort of fighting against like a lot of clickbait and tribalism and polarization. He sort of realized that you need to do all these things to get a big audience. He's kind of, so I kind of view him as a sellout to some extent.
Ooh,
so
shots fired.
There's your shots fired. Now I am.
It's a high standard though, isn't it?
Well, here's the thing. Because a lot of people say like, Tim is better than most, and that's true. But I guess it's since I viewed him as the chosen one, I put him on a pedestal. So like the standard was set so high.
This is his fault.
It is. Well, I'm not whether it's his fault or my fault, regardless. But this is just my feelings on the matter. So I viewed him as basically just killing all the younglings, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I know, real shots fired. Jeez.
Tim Pool killed all the younglings in the Jedi Temple because he wanted to save Padme. And when I say save Padme, I mean get his YouTube numbers boosted.
I remember when Tim Pool was making a highly produced video once a day on his main channel and barely doing anything on his second channel, rant oriented, what is really his mainstay now. And I remember he made this video that he was just completely demoralized. He was like, I'm not making any money doing this. This is way more work than I can continue to put in. And this is just not a sustainable model. And he was at his wit's end. Like he was not the Tim Pool that we know today. And now look at it. He's got this giant studio. He's got a compound going. He's got this huge live show. He's
going to get Waco'd by the U.S. government.
Yeah, he's.
Well, whenever I hear the word compound,
hopefully that doesn't happen. But I mean, he's getting like aren't the cops showing up at his place like once a day now?
He's been swatted like
People
5
keep swatting him.
times.
Yeah. Right.
So hopefully it doesn't go that route. But anyway, like I'm saying, like he's completely. I mean, this is a Cinderella story here, Sitch. How can you not? How can you turn down?
Yeah.
How could he still be the chosen one, and say no to $500,000 a month?
I think there's a
ad
middle path.
revenue.
I think because he could still have the making 6 videos a day and all this other stuff with just being more nuanced, I guess, in his takes. Obviously,
No, you can't. You can't make this kind of.
okay, maybe you're right. I guess the path
It's
to success
impossible.
is just evil, and there's nothing we can do about it.
This is
we're gonna
like-
take the black pill on this.
Well, I'm just saying it kind of is, but why?
Okay.
I mean, this is the whole point. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Well, I don't know. I mean, look at Joe Rogan.
What?
Joe Rogan's
How is Tim Pool
wildly
corrupted. Absolutely.
Well, he's
Yes.
not. He's definitely not. I mean, he's not. He's not what he used to be, Sargon. You have to admit that. He's definitely not nonpartisan.
Sure, he's based now. Yeah.
these are just like
Sargon, yeah.
Joe Rogan
if Tim Pool had become Hassan, Sargon, would you be saying the same thing?
Of course not.
No, I'd be saying he's cringe.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
I appreciate
Why
that.
would I?
I appreciate that Carl is very open in his biases on the matter.
Well, am I supposed to pretend that I'm like neutral when it comes to like?
I don't want you to
politics?
pretend anything. I want you
No.
to anything.
No,
But
of
what I was
course
to say,
not.
Adam, is that Joe Rogan is like the most wildly successful podcaster out there, and I think he's still maintained a lot of his, nuanced, enlightened centrism throughout his success.
Right.
Now he's a very different model than Tim, so maybe that's the difference. He's not like a politically oriented channel, so maybe.
So
that's
you're
the
saying
problem.
Tim could dial it back a bit and still be as successful? You think?
Not as successful, probably, but still
I
very.
don't think
successful.
Tim's particularly radical. That's the thing. Like,
I don't think he's
he-
radical either.
So he's, I don't think he's like extremely left or right. I think he's
No.
just actually more clued in than most centrists to the problem of the left.
I
I don't.
agree.
I think I think he's very. I think he knows where his audience is, and I think he does play to them.
Sure, and I'm not saying he doesn't, but I also think that a charitable interpretation is that he has experienced the problem of the left firsthand, and so is just not taking any of their shit. And he's not like, he wouldn't do the same with the alt-right. If all the media outlets were alt-right and they were acting in the same way that the left is acting, I'm sure that he would take the same approach.
I don't know, because I don't think it's his experience with the left that's pushed him this direction. I think it's really
Well,
he's
I've talked
playing
to him.
his
I'm friends with
audience.
him.
Okay,
I'm friends
well,
with him.
there you go.
I know exactly what his experience is.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
We've
but
had
I'm
long
saying-
conversations about it.
I'm saying I think mostly it's him playing to his audience.
No, his support of Trump probably ended up becoming because A, Trump was a better choice than Hillary, and B, Trump did a lot of good things.
I'm not. My opinion on Tim was shifting way before Trump. Like, it has nothing to do with really Trump. at
Well,
all.
maybe, and I'm not saying you're wrong, because we've all got that sort of material incentive, right? So there's nothing wrong with pointing that out, but also that doesn't mean that he doesn't also have like legitimate like moral concerns about the way things are.
Oh, I don't disagree. Yeah, sure. I'm not saying that he just lies about it. I'm not saying anything like that.
I don't think he lies about anything, really, does he?
Right.
Anyway, Sitch is like
What?
I just think your standards for him are really high.
painfully silent there.
What?
He said, Sargon said, I don't think he lies about anything.
I don't think he lies about anything either.
Okay,
I
good.
think he frames things and chooses stories in very one-sided ways to appeal to his audience.
Sure.
That's what I think.
Right.
And we do and we've been accused of this too because
They're
we
accusing
cover,
it of us now in the chat.
yeah, because we cover mostly insane leftists, 90% of the time or 80% of the time, we
Well, that's because
cover,
we can't get Quackademic Agent on. So what do you
Well,
want?
that's
I mean,
true.
what do you want?
Okay.
That's true.
Right. This whole thing with you guys and Academic Agent.
Quack,
oh my God.
please. You're on our
Quackademic,
show.
please.
He
It's
has,
fucking insufferable to watch you two talking.
he has a
about.
name.
Yeah, it's a girl's name as well, incidentally.
Right.
Look, AA is a good guy. I like AA.
No,
I'm
he's
fri-
not.
I'm friends
yeah.
with him.
God.
No. Right?
He's like fucking tweeting shit like, we can never trust the redacteds. And then it's like, what is redacted? Oh, it's the Jews. Okay. So like, I don't know what you're talking about.
That ain't cool. That's not cool.
Yeah, but that's your liberal bias, isn't it? Right?
No, it's my liberal bias. I don't like someone who's a fucking anti-Semite. What?
Well, yeah, but I'm not saying it's wrong to have a liberal bias when it comes to these things. Right?
Okay, there we go. Yes, there you go. Exactly.
But like Daryl Davis is a good point, right? Where it's like, look, it's better to befriend and de-radicalize these people than just stigmatize them.
Sure.
Well, that's what we think
don't
we're
say
doing.
sure when you're busy stigmatizing.
You think, okay, I understand. You're saying I should be trying to befriend Quackademic and destigmatize and be like, listen, I'm Jewish, okay? I'm not such a bad guy. Why are you hating on the Jews? Listen, there's lots of Jews that are anti-woke, okay?
Look, he actually doesn't spend a lot of time talking about Jews either, right? This is not like a mainstay of his view.
He spends more than most.
No, I don't know. I don't know if not in the circles in which he is forced to travel, right?
Okay.
He's actually very moderate in the circles where he's forced to travel.
Not take your word for it, but okay.
No. Well, I'm like I understand. I spend some time in that community myself, right? And so it's interesting being like friends with both of you, like just watching this, like in suffering because he's not an unreasonable guy. And you're not unreasonable.
He is unreasonable. What do you?
No, he's not.
He's totally unreasonable.
And he says exactly the same thing about you. But the thing is, I have reasonable conversations with both of you. So I'm sat here thinking, right, okay, well, you're both reasonable when you're like your elephants are under control. But whenever you talk to each other or like there's any hope of an interaction between you, the elephants are suddenly just rampaging through the village. And I'm just like, fucking hell.
I don't think having a prejudgment saying I'm going to judge everyone of a certain race or religion one way and being a problem, I don't think that's a reasonable position.
Why?
What do you mean why? Because it's fucking crazy. It's
not. It's totally normal. Everyone has heuristics. Like
But you agree that it's
about what a Frenchman is like.
That's
right.
Okay, but that's part of what it means to get over your elephant is to realize that these snap judgments you're making about groups of people are very often, or not almost always often wrong.
Sure, I agree, and they're very low resolution judgments, right? But sometimes they're not entirely inaccurate. And I'm not saying that his particular one in this case is right, obviously. But what I'm saying is,
very nice of you.
Yeah, obviously. But what I'm saying is, like, it's not unusual for people to have generalized views like this, right? And it's better, like, as Daryl Davis is doing. He's a great example of it.
Right.
Like, it's easier to get them to de-radicalize themselves by simply, presenting a, normal person to them and saying, well, look, there may well be some people who the KKK are thinking of that accurately represent the stereotype, but this is not just all X or all Y, and it's easy to de-radicalize them. Whereas instead of, like taking any of his, I mean, again, I think you're hyper focused on this, one thing that you talk about one time. This is normally what he's
it's not one time. He talks about it a lot. Okay.
I don't think he does.
I have
a lot of time talking.
I have lots of tweets. I've heard lots of clips. Okay, yeah.
Okay, maybe he
people
does.
send me shit all the time.
Okay, maybe I just didn't see it.
Right.
We appreciate that you're trying to de-radicalize him, Carl.
I think it's a good thing to do. And it would be easier to do if you guys would not attack him, basically, and if you'd have a conversation with him, that'd be great. But the thing is, right, and this is true, and you're not going to like it.
Okay.
Adam, you do have a habit of going into full shitlib mode when talking to him.
Describe
whenever you ever talk to him.
Being unbelievable, like talking about him. Sorry,
being
unbelievably unreasonable.
I'm not unreasonable, but definitely uncharitable. I will give you that.
Yes,
I will admit to my uncharitability, but everything I say is definitely reasonable.
No, you did the same with Dave, the distributist. Like, he's a very smart chap, and he's not unreasonable.
Dave, and I disagree.
What do you mean? He's a lovely guy. He's really polite.
He's very, very well read, but he is not really having a conversation with us. So
No, well, this is the thing. Like, you guys seem to not be able to hear what they're trying to tell you.
Well, they're not.
Wait, that's not true at all. I understand it. When we were talking to distributors, I understand exactly what he was saying and what his position was. The problem is that he was completely unwilling, first of all, to explain clearly what he wanted prescriptively, and he kept hiding it, and he had to force it out of him via fucking Twitter. And he was engaging in sort of debate tactics in a lot of our conversations, which I was in the first conversation I was completely unprepared for, because I thought we were just gonna have like a nice conversation with this YouTuber that I've like watched occasionally, and I didn't realize it was gonna be like this fucking like struggle of, you know, liberalism versus monarchy or whatever the fuck is being advocated for.
Yeah, he's a Catholic theocrat. He wants medieval France. Right?
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
That's what he's after.
How is that reasonable? How can you say that's reasonable? And how can you say someone advocating for that is smart, Sargon? Like, really?
This is what I mean about going full shit lib, Adam.
Well, what the fuck?
This is exactly what I mean.
Forgive me. Look, I'm an American. I love freedom, okay?
This is the full shit lib I was describing.
I'm not ready to turn our government over to a king because I have such radical political views that's the only way they're going to be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, talk about taxation.
Here's the thing.
This is completely ridiculous.
I am friends with Aiden. Okay, I disagree with Aiden on a lot of stuff, and we've debated Aiden on a lot of
stuff. Aiden's comes on the show all the time,
right? And we debated with you like a million fucking times. And the reason that I like you and I like Aiden is because I feel like when we're having a conversation, we're actually having a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not feel like when we were talking to Dave that we were having any conversation whatsoever.
Right.
But whatever. We're so off topic. But.
Yeah, sorry. We can get back on.
All right.
Anyway, fuck Quackademic Agent.
Can I make a recommendation for next week's stream?
Yeah, sure.
Academic Agent recently put out an hour-long
No,
listen.
Veto.
Like no, listen, you're going to like this, right? An hour-long video explaining that the slaves had better working conditions than the average person now.
Oh, God.
That's so evil.
I think you should do it. I think
that sounds...
It's
how's
really
that going to... Wait, I thought you wanted us to build bridges.
Yeah. You want me to destroy them.
It sounds so dumb.
Well, see if you can.
Oh my God.
I'll send it to you.
That's terrible.
Okay.
Oh, that's terrible. You don't buy into that, Sargon, right?
Carl.
So
you've already listen.
Carl, tell me.
You
Carl,
already
put
a normative moral framework all over what I've just said.
Yeah, because I'm an American. I believe in freedom.
No, I just think I'm just assuming offhand it's fucking stupid and wrong.
No, it's not, because the thing is, conditions have got worse
than being a slave.
Right. Yeah.
Then being
no.
No, but you don't know what the conditions they lived in were like.
Well, I do know that the slave master could come and rape your wife, and you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah,
I think that's a pretty strong condition.
And what percentage of black women said they've been raped?
Fucking loads. What are you talking about?
No, it's not though. That's the thing.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. He's actually got the statistics, but it's not really that. That's like one aspect, right?
Wait. How could you have a statistic from like the 1700s or 1800s of black slaves talking about whether they were raped or not?
Slavery in your country ended in 1865.
Mm-hmm. And you think they were going to go up and be like, "Listen, I was raped as I don't know."
The U.S. government did do that. They did a big study of like the older slaves before that generation died out, so they had some information on it. They in like 1910 or something like that.
So the last generation of first of all,
the last generation of slaves?
The last generation of slaves where conditions were already changing and social justice were already changing.
The thing is, most like this, what you're doing here is highlighting something that doubtless did happen, but was not like the sum total of the slave experience, right? Not every black female slave was raped. And also, many of them actually had more access to resources than a minimum wage worker does now. And in fact, there are slaves on record who said it got worse for them after slavery ended, because then they didn't get anything. They just got paid $1 a day.
Yeah, but that's very different. It's very different saying, "Oh, I had more resources immediately following the abolition of slavery," versus trying to compare it to like today's world, right?
Well, no, things are worse now. Like the minimum wage worker has actually got a worse condition.
I don't
material.
This is crazy.
No,
I don't
it's
believe
not
that.
crazy.
Carl, I
No,
can't
listen.
believe you're supposed to be pulling him back
Look,
from the abyss,
no,
not him
listen.
pulling you into the canyon.
This
Like,
is not
listen.
an argument for slavery.
The lake of
I
fire
know,
is down there.
we don't think it is an argument for slavery. We think.
Then why
I'm assuming
are you
it's an.
reacting like this?
Well, I'm
Right?
assuming
This is
the
not-
underlying.
This is an argument for how bad things are under neoliberalism.
Yeah, but you got
Well, I'm
the
assuming the
framing is
argument's broader than
terrible.
that.
No, it's not. I've actually made a similar framing, right? The way things are at the moment is better than it is to have slaves for a slave owner.
Right. But is he
The way
coming
things are at the moment.
is he coming from a place of slavery was horrific and now things are horrific plus?
Yes.
I don't know if he is.
I'm assuming he's
Well,
coming
this
from
is-
the framework of
you
this
haven't
is.
seen the video.
I'm assuming that, and I could be wrong. I'm assuming this is coming from the framework of this is another point in the cap of why modern life and liberalism sucks, and we should move on
That
to
is
our weirdo
exactly
neo-reactionary
where he's
monarchy
going with it.
position.
Yes.
I'm not sure. No. I don't think AA is a neo-reaction.
Or what Italian elite? I don't know. Whatever the fuck he is, I don't know. What he
Well,
is.
I don't think
He
knows.
loves he
That's the
loves Mencius Moldbug, and all this is straight from Mencius
thing. No,
Moldbug.
he doesn't love Mencius Moldbug. He is just conversant with his views, right?
So he agrees with him. It's the same thing.
not necessarily, and in some respects, Moldbug isn't wrong.
No,
the
Moldbug
Italian
is
elite
wrong
theorists are
about
not-
everything. There's nothing Moldbug is correct about. Zero.
I don't agree.
Zero.
Some of his observations are good.
Well, maybe some of his observations, but none of his prescriptions.
Oh,
are-
Marx had
yeah.
good observations.
Well,
Sometimes.
yeah, exactly. Marx did have some good observations, and you are right. I don't agree with his prescriptions. Like, I actually would love to see him try and make America a monarchy. I'm all up for that experiment. Let's see how that works. It's not going to, obviously. How do you even choose a king? What you can do, elect him. Like where
Yeah,
are you
then
going?
he's creating a liberal democracy. Then, just changing the king and name only.
Yeah, but the thing
Anyway.
is, Americans don't understand monarchies anyway, so it doesn't matter.
You
As we
can't-
shouldn't.
Well, you don't. So, but
And that's
the
good.
point-
Okay, we
but
don't
the
need to
point is,
understand that
like,
monarchy garbage.
it's not the way that you approach things. You have a very firm tendency to use the normative lens first before applying a descriptive lens, and I think apply it the other way. I think they go descriptive before normative. And I think
who's
that's why
they?
you can't the Dave academic agent.
I think
people
you're
like that.
so wrong.
I know, but I'm not invested. I'm invested equally in both camps, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, I like both of you,
Mhm.
and I'm saying this as like as dispassionate an observer as I can. Like, there is a way that you look at the problems that means you can't see what they're trying to say, and the way that you reacted to this material analysis of slavery, I think, is very revealing of that. And so I think you guys doing a stream on it would be
Well,
very
it makes sense that he's simping for slavery because he believes that we have
He's
too
not
much freedom
slavery.
in society already. No,
He's not saying that.
Is this a fair summary of their position?
The answer is no.
Okay, well, let me lay it out first, and then you tell me. They
Okay.
they believe that individual freedom, individual rights led us to a place where wokeness has taken over, and that we need to constrain people's individual freedoms to avoid this in the future. And the furthest extent of that is some philosopher king elite is going to come in and lay down the law and keep everyone in line and prevent people from changing their genders and doing all of these things that they don't like. They don't believe that they can get those policies passed in a democratic framework. They think they need a fucking king to be able to do it. That's how little they believe in individual freedom. So when you talk about their position being not radical, I think, what the hell?
no,
I
I'm
have
not
a
saying the
firm
position
belief
isn't
in
radical.
individual freedom.
But the thing is that's a terrible mischaracterization of their position.
Okay, so what is their position if that's not correct?
I mean, let's just very quickly begin with everything that you're saying is wrong, right?
Mhm.
Look at the Roe versus Wade thing and the way the Republicans are going on abortion, right? These things can absolutely be rolled back within your framework, right?
Sure.
They
I
can.
believe that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it's not even that you need to believe it. It's happening, right? And so these things can happen.
Dave
But they-
doesn't believe that, though.
they
When we had
believe
our
in-
constant conversation
No.
with him, Dave
No.
refused to believe that the pendulum ever swings to the right.
Yes. Cthulhu always swims left. You know the term they always use for
Yeah, and they're
Mulbug.
right about that. They're right about that, right?
Oh, so
the-
how does that figure in with the abortion stuff then?
Well, that's a great question, and we can go into it if you want. But the what I'm trying to get at is it's still within a liberal framework, right? All of this is happening in a liberal framework. And so what you're saying is individual rights. They still apply in the individual framework. The question is, what is a right that you have within the framework? And they don't disagree that rights exist. They disagree with what is happening. Like, you're not able to hear what they're saying because you have a very strong normative liberal view, right?
Well, I have a view where I believe in individual freedom. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I know, right? But the thing is, the term individual freedom is actually fairly ill-defined, right? And so what does that actually mean?
Well,
Right.
you can look it up.
We're not
under
free
the-
to kill each other. Well, but
Well,
you keep saying we don't hear them. I feel like I just disagree. I'm not sure where the unhearing is coming from.
Because there are nuances and layers to their arguments that you're not hearing, right? And it's
Like,
I don't use the term dog
Well,
whistle.
demystify it for us, Carl. Come on.
Well, I'm
give us
trying, and I think that the example of the slavery is a really good one, right? Because you
That's
went
terrible.
it's a great one, right? Because you went full shitlib. You know, you were like, he's pro-slavery, dude. That is literally what the SJW would say. Right?
Listen.
That's totally uncharitable.
Listen the way that you're setting it up, though. Sargon or Carl, I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you rather be, live in a well-to-do manner, but you're a fucking slave, or would you rather be destitute and be free?
I mean, I think that while I've got a full belly, that's a very easy question to answer.
Okay, so answer it then. I'm assuming.
Obviously, I'd rather be free.
Okay, there you
but I'm
go.
not hungry.
Exactly.
America.
I would rather
The
be
crying tears of red, white,
starving.
and blue.
I would rather be starving with an empty belly and free than a full belly and be a fucking slave. Okay.
Based.
That's the American way. This is why we parted ways. This is why we left England. Okay?
This is not why we parted
Yes, we
ways.
did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
By the dawn
No
of
taxation
the
without representation was a way of saying we do not want to be slaves
The
to
American
the king.
colonists in no way considered themselves slaves.
No, they did not.
Yes, they
considered
did.
black people
there we go.
slaves.
Your entire argument is to stop there, right? They were not slaves. So calm down.
We were slaves.
right?
They used
were
slavery
not
to
slaves.
they used
You were
slavery
not
to the
slaves.
crown and all kinds of revolutionary rhetoric. I'm certain.
Oh, that
of
is
it.
true.
Yeah.
I did say that.
Yes, but that's
We
them-
are a slave colony
them.
here.
That's them. That's propaganda, Adam.
Yeah,
Right?
but it's good.
They were
Yeah.
actively asserting their rights as
It
English.
works. You
Right?
yourself, listen, I've already won this debate because you already admitted you would rather be destitute, dying of thirst, dying of hunger, and free than to be a fat and happy slave.
Okay.
Based.
Yes. However, you're not understanding the point. The point is that things are worse now for people in cities, particularly, than they were for slaves on plantations in the countryside.
Listen, I'll watch the video. I'll watch it with as open a heart as possible,
Adam,
Sargon, but I'm just highly skeptical of this.
What
fucking
do you
claim.
find funny about that?
It's
Seriously,
hilarious. Just
Because your boss, as I already said, your boss can't whip you. Your boss can't rape you. Your
Can't
boss
rape
can't
your
cut
wife.
off your fingers or your hand because you're not working fat. Like this just seems crazy to me.
But you have this impression that this was just something that happened to all slaves all the time.
just
They were living.
Just
Yeah,
the threat of it is enough.
They're living under the threat and the fear that if I don't work, I'm going to get killed or mutilated.
Yes.
Yeah, but that just didn't happen.
What? Of course it did. What do you
mean? No. It really was not as common as you think, right? but there are also other material advantages that are better than.
Okay, well, let me ask you one question.
Living in a box in California, right?
Is it better to live in a box in California where you can marry someone of your own free will and you can have a child that is yours,
Slaves
and
could
not
do that.
have because
Yes.
they fucking broke families apart and sold them like puppies.
Yes.
Sometimes.
Okay, they didn't give a fuck about
No.
keeping families together.
You are talking like American revolutionaries, right? You are not
What?
You are not correct on every point here, right? And this watch the video. He's going through the
I
data,
will
right?
watch it. I feel like there's an incredible downplay of all like the horrible fucked up shit in order to make this argument.
Of course, these things were horrible, right? But in many respects, they were also abstract, right? Whereas on the day-to-day basis, these people got like more calories than the average fucking junkie does in San Francisco, right?
Well, if you're on drugs, I mean that's kind of a different issue, isn't it?
But there are real problems and consequences here. And it's not to say that slavery is good. It's to say that things are really bad for some people.
Yeah, liberalism's bad, capitalism's bad. Okay, that's what it's to say.
No. The framing triggers you, right? That's the issue.
Well, the absurdity of it on its face triggers me.
Yeah,
that
me
it sounds
too.
so fucking stupid.
Why is it absurd to say that a slave had more material resources?
I just said
a young
why.
person now.
I just said why.
Yeah, because and even
but that's not absurd.
Even
That's
if
true.
you saying like, okay, the slave owner didn't rape the women all that often, you're still living in fear that tonight's the night. So I don't know.
Okay, but doesn't
necessarily
a feminist
know
have a good point then about walking down the street, because tonight could be the night that a man rapes.
Not really. I mean,
it's completely different.
look at. I mean, this even comes up in this conversation.
Rape is
with
not
Daryl.
legal under the scenario that you're talking about.
This even comes up in the conversation with Daryl later, where he starts talking about, Thomas Jefferson was having sex with his 14-year-old slave, and she fathered like 6 of his fucking children. This is talk about groomers. Like, this is crazy shit that was happening back then.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
But they were well fed.
but they.
I mean, it's just strange credulity.
Anyway, let me read some super chats.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.